And we're back, folks. Michael Murray here, joined live with Charles the Villain. Dun, dun, dun. Looking forward to casting with you, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really excited to cast this round with you.
Yeah, and we've got a spicy one. Kassai versus Enigma. Tyler Horspool on Enigma and Colin Eriksen on Kassai. Both X and 1. This could be a win and in for both of them.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. I think you were saying Kassai's obviously not been a super popular hero. Was very popular in the previous set. So
yeah.
Good to see Colin. He's been a long-time stalwart of the hero. Played it as long as I think I've known him, honestly.
Yeah, he's the only Kassai here today.
Yeah.
Showing up and doing work.
And showing us, that he can still find success, right?
Yeah.
It seems he's playing a win-in for Battle Hardened.
Yeah, and here we have Colin's player profile. Favorite moments playing against, look at that, Charles Dunn. Fantastic. On camera in February. First time he'd been featured. So he's been featured quite a few times since then. Colin Eriksen really showing up and showing how to play the game of Flesh and Blood. Really smart player. And I think the amount of work that he's put into Kassai really shows. I heard he just beat a pitch stacking Kano to get to this spot. So he can even beat these, supposedly unbeatable matchups and make them look easy. Really cool that he has that potential.
Yeah, definitely showing off, how much persistence on playing the same hero over and over again.
Absolutely. And look at this down here. Most important quality, perseverance.
What a perfect, thing for him.
And then we've got Tyler Wicked Horspool, the villain of AGE, the second villain now. We've got two in the Charles Dunn. But favorite moments coming up, dressing for his villain role. He really loved doing that. We had him featured earlier and talked a little bit about this earlier in the day, but he's such a fun guy to play Flesh and Blood with. Always shows up with spirit, and his deck building is another thing that we touched on earlier. Just loves to sort of push the bounds. He doesn't net deck. He makes his own decks, and it's one of the things that I really respect about him. And I think he's got a little bit of spice in his deck. I'm not sure if we're going to expect this in the matchup or not, but the Reality Refractor.
Yeah, that's a really exciting weapon. That's something that you don't see very many Enigmas playing. That every Enigma is almost always on Cosmo,
right?
Her kind of signature weapon. But Reality Refractor, an older weapon, has a lot of potential. It only costs 2 resources. You get to swing with an aura for 5 damage. That's a really great rate, but it doesn't have Go Again. And so you really need to work around that limitation of really only having 1 action point on a lot of these turns with this style of deck.
Yeah, so I imagine that Tyler is going to be playing very defensively if he does decide to bring the Reality Refractor into this matchup. We'll have to wait and see how he sets up his deck when they pull it out. But I do expect a little bit of that spice, the Tyler Horspool spice.
We're all good. Yep. All right. Looks like our players are just finishing up shuffling here.
High roll.
Rolling.
7, that's a pretty high roll. I don't know
pretty,
if he's going to be able
pretty
to deal with that.
average. You look at
I say that.
Oh, snake eyes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so one thing I really love about Flesh and Blood, certainly compared to many other games that I've played in my time, that it's not always clear if you want to go first or second in any given matchup. That's always a point of contention, a point of discussion, and I think it's really interesting, to see how each of these players want to approach the matchup for trying to set that initial tempo of the game.
Yeah, did you hear what Tyler chose?
I did not, but
we're about to find out
in just a moment.
I imagine setting up some wards turn 0 would be pretty strong. And we see that he puts the counter on the Tunic.
So it looks like he has opted to go first, yeah. It makes sense, right? One of the main advantages of going first is you get to set up your board a little bit if you have these persistent auras with Ward that Enigma is so known for. But on the flip side, if you're going second, you kind of get to make the first attack that's a bit more meaningful, right? Because your opponent doesn't get to just block it for free, basically.
Tyler jumping the gun just a little bit, waiting for Colin to drop his cards. Here we are.
That's a yellow Spectral Manifestations, and so this is probably one of the signature cards for this style of deck with Reality Refractor. You occasionally see some Spectral Manifestations in other versions of Enigma, but it really shines here.
Yeah, this is a 7 damage attack right here when it's 5+2.
Yeah. I mean, it just looks like, 2-card attack for 7, but the fact that you just get to so efficiently, spend 2 on that, and then it only costs 1 to swing thanks to Enigma's hero power.
And speaking of the power of those counters, the Miragai here. Even though it didn't come in with a chi, that's still a 7-power weapon.
Yeah, it's a 7-power weapon, or it's at least a ward 2 to protect his other weapon. And so, this looks like a great start for Tyler, getting 2 wards on the board on the first turn. He did have to forego an arsenal. Doesn't have that arsenal that you typically expect for the person going first, but I think he still is pretty happy with how this situation lined up.
Yeah, really good turn 0 for Tyler. Now Colin has to take back the tempo. Oh.
Comes in with a Nourishing Emptiness, and so obviously right at the start of the game, this, I presume, would have Dominate, right? Yeah, he does not have an attack. He didn't block with an attack last turn, so... one of the things that the Enigma deck tries to do is really protect these wards, because Enigma gets a lot of value when the wards stick around and you're not having to deploy a new one. So you really need to be aggressive to try to attack it, and Dominate is a great way to get through.
Yeah. Only 1 card from hand and no arsenal means that Tyler would have to either give up some equipment this early in the game or just go and sort of let his board die and try to build it up again.
Looks like he is blocking with 1 card, and if there's no further blocks, he's going to lose both his wards. No, it's thinking about playing Moon Chakra, I believe. So that's a prevention effect, but I believe it just prevents 1 here, but that's all you need.
1 is enough, yeah.
That's all you need to keep that Spectral Shield alive. And now Tyler gets to go back to his turn. He still has the shield. He can just pay to attack with it at a pretty good rate. He's basically spending 1 card to attack for 7 again. Geez, 1 card for 7.
Yeah.
What an efficient turn Tyler has on the back end. This is the power of Reality Refractor in this kind of matchup. It's so efficient to just get this 1 attack per turn.
Colin sending his own efficiencies back. That sink below blocking 4 and then 3 from the Raisin Army.
Oh, so Tyler uses his cloaked equipment, Uphold Tradition here, to add an extra counter. Now this is going to have Ward 1 on the back end and also pushes through 1 more point right on this turn.
I really like the use of that. Continuing to protect the board with just even 1 additional ward could be the difference between keeping that Spectral Shield or not.
Slice and dice.
All right, coming in with a Slice and Dice. Colin's trying to go wide, trying to make multiple attacks to pressure these wards. It's a little bit easier to cover up 1 big attack because you know what's coming. It's all there. But when there's another attack coming behind with a Slice and Dice, it's a little bit harder to anticipate how much you need to block.
And no blocks rather on the side of Tyler. So a little bit of a clunky hand, not sending enough block to cover this up entirely. It looks like he probably will lose that Spectral Shield on the back as he takes a little bit of a hit. But we'll see if he's got more coming on the back end here.
Yeah, that's the thing about Enigma. There's so many kind of tricky lines of defense with the ward, with other prevention effects, not just defense reactions. You have plenty of ways to potentially cover this up. And it looks like he covered up the first swing here, but then, of course, the second weapon, that's the big one that comes in. That looks like a red Blade Runner and a red Slice and Dice. So this is coming in for 8?
Yep, 8.
Wow.
And then potentially 9 if Tyler blocks with an attack. The Centauri Saber text.
You have to imagine Tyler doesn't have too many attacks in his deck. He might, but this style of deck doesn't care for that many attack actions because your wards are your attacking avenue. Looks like he's blocking for 7 here, and then the arms has ward 1, so that'll fully defend. And that Spectral Shield, which Tyler played on turn 0, the first turn of the game, is still sticking around. And you know what's going to happen?
8 damage for 1 card.
You don't even need 1 card. It could just be the 1 Tunic counter.
Oh my gosh.
Tunic counter attack
because
for 8.
Of Enigma's ability. This is
man, Tyler is
insane.
Getting a ton of value off the Spectral Shield.
And he's going to be able to use that chi in his hand to use the Enigma power and get another counter on this Spectral Shield.
So it won't make another counter, make a separate shield.
A separate shield with, excuse me, I mixed it up with the Sacred Arc.
Yeah, even so this gives him, protection for next turn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I personally have messed around with Reality Refractor Enigma quite a bit.
I can see the power of this.
I love this style of deck. It was actually one of the first decks I personally built when the set came out. I was so excited for it because of exactly what you're seeing in here.
I mean, this is like this puts Great Axe to shame.
Yes. Oh, it sure does. I mean, hey, 1 Tunic counter attack for 8. I would take that in every deck every time.
Oh, and that all you got. Free block.
Yep. Colin still makes, a valiant attempt here, gets to make 2 attacks. This is coming in for 4 on the second Centauri Saber. So Tyler still needs to respect this a little bit.
Yeah, that is a break point. Luckily, he has one Spectral Shield that he can give up. Not too worried about it.
Looking at his hand, though, I think that's 2/2 blocks and an Enlightened Strike. And the Enlightened Strike would buff up the Centauri Saber. But if it buffs it up to 5, it still covers it with another card. And the beautiful part about this deck is once you have an aura on board, you can block with 3 of your cards. You don't care. You just need that one card to make that one attack. That's
yeah,
all
you
need.
get to just spend all of your cards on defense. Really safe play. And then, hey, what do you think about 8 damage? Hey, what do you think about 9 damage?
Yeah,
so brutal.
So it looks like Tyler is blocking for 5, which he needed to do because the Centauri Saber was being buffed up by its text. And when it closes, he should draw a card off the That All You Got. Did he? Oh, he did, yes, because he has 2 cards left in hand. Okay, yeah, he did. He didn't miss it. So got to start thinking like Colin, the life totals are about even right now, roughly, it's 38 to 40. But it seems like Tyler's in a really strong position. Just getting this pure efficiency out of the cards each and every turn. Oh, and he's going to push some more damage through with the Astral Etchings.
That weapon needs to die
soon.
Is
that an 11?
Yeah.
You don't see an Enigma attacking for 11 very often now, do you?
Colin cannot afford to leave this alive for much longer.
Oh, no. And the tough part about playing into this style of deck, or just Enigma in general, is that every card that you block with is a card that you can't attack them back with. So if you want to try to pressure these wards, you need to take that big hit because you can't afford to block with those cards. And it looks like Colin, when he drew that defense reaction, he only has 3 cards to attack with now. He's going to pop the gold.
Yeah, he needs to find something, and he drew a defense reaction. It's not what you want to see.
Oh, but this defense reaction,
That's true. It actually can be huge if he can get rid of one of these wards, or 2 of them, rather. He's got 2 on the table.
Right, it's Steel Blade Shunt. I know we can't see it. We just caught a glimpse of it. But the way Steel Blade Shunt works is if it's defending a weapon attack.
Which these wards are weapon attacks.
Wards are weapon. It deals 1 damage. And this isn't arcane damage. This isn't damage you can prevent. You can only prevent it by a ward. So it's going to destroy a ward. And if Tyler only has 1 ward, that's going to just destroy the whole attack. It's a very potent defense reaction in this type of matchup if it lines up.
Yeah, and currently it does not. 3 wards is not 1 ward.
That's what makes it so tough. Tyler is using the power play of the Traverse the Universe. I'm sure we've seen this a lot throughout the day. All the Mystic heroes use this card so well. And this Enigma version is no exception.
Yeah, getting another Soul Shield out feels backbreaking at this point in the game.
It might be, because no matter what happens, we know Tyler will still have a weapon or an aura for next turn. And so that's the tough part. Even if Colin is able to deal with this current board, Tyler is just going to be able to rebuild it very efficiently. Looks like he's using the Meridian pathway, the legendary legs here, that if he's pitched a Chi, which he of course has, it gains ward 3, and that's going to help him cover this up without losing any of his wards on board.
So really just kind of deciding to give 5 of his armor, 5 value rather, of his armor. Unless...
It looks like he has chosen to activate the Meridian pathway, but he is choosing to destroy the Waning Vengeance rather than lose the Meridian. He's going to keep the ward on Meridian for the next attack, just in case.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Why do you think he would prefer to keep the boots rather than the aura?
Boots, that's interesting. I think because he's already pitched the blue this turn, he wants to make sure that he gets the value out of the Waning Vengeance, because when Waning Vengeance is destroyed, if you have pitched a blue, you get an extra Spectral Shield.
I see.
And so he just wants to make sure he gets that value.
That makes sense. Coming in now with the second weapon swing, Centauri Saber for 4. Could be boosted to 5 if Tyler blocks with an attack, but he just sinks it. Sink below.
Sink. Now, Colin does have 1 card left in hand, and if that's something like in the swing, he could potentially pump it over to deal a bit of damage.
We do know it's not, but Tyler is thinking about that right now.
Yeah, you got to be careful. I think the key to success on Colin's side is really these combat tricks, these pumps and these buffs to kind of take Tyler, catch him off guard and pop the wards when he wasn't expecting it.
And he did have the boots ready to go, even just in case. Ended up not using them, and they just returned back to the board.
Yeah.
If they don't get popped, they don't get popped. So
now we're going to see Tyler. He has 3 cards in hand and 4 wards or auras on board. This is a very strong spot for him to be in, but I will say that compared to other versions of Enigma, you can't use all of these at once with Reality Refractor. That's what we mentioned at the start, right? You only have that kind of one action point. You don't have Go Again. So you've got all these auras, but you still only make 1 attack.
I am terrified of the turn he decides to play Path Well Traveled and give one of them Go Again.
Oh, Path Well Traveled. Yeah, because the Reality Refractor gives base 5 to both. So attacking with 2 wards, that's huge.
Yeah, he could have a very big turn. But yeah, so far Colin doesn't really have any answers and just has to take another 10 blocking with just the Valiant Dynamos.
Yeah. I mean, this is what you have to do, right? To turn the corner. If you need to pressure these wards, you need to keep cards in hand, and that means you're going to take a big hit.
Yeah, so he's finally made the decision to keep a 5-card hand and give it everything he's got. He needs to clear as many of these as he possibly can.
Yeah, this is an important turn for Colin. We'll see what he's got cooking up. Leading off with the Hot Streak. That could mean any number of things behind it. Surely this will get Go Again somehow, but we just don't know how yet.
Yeah. Colin needs to have some sneaky attack reactions if he wants to get through here.
I don't think we've seen really any attack reactions. No, none of the Blade Flurries that give +2 to both attacks.
I'm expecting a Blade Flurry here. That's the type of...
So the Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, no Blade Flurry yet.
Ooh, that all you got. One of the best cards for this matchup because those attacks coming in for 2.
Yeah.
Tyler just gets to really efficiently block it.
Colin would really like a Blade Runner here to prevent that draw.
Yep.
The hesitation makes me think he does not have it.
Seems unlikely, but maybe he's just taking his time thinking through. This game has been getting a little bit out of his control. Maybe he wants to slow down and reevaluate and really think close. It looks like he does not have a Blade Runner. He's just coming in with the next sword swing. This should be for 4. And you've got to think he's got 2 cards behind. There's got to be some kind of pump in his hand, some kind of trick.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of that would be meaningful here is maybe 2-second swings.
Yeah, the in the swing.
In the swing.
Yeah, that's the 0 cost. It only works on your second attack, which this would be. So, if you think that's maybe the worst case scenario for Tyler, so he's got to be thinking, well, it's currently 4. Maybe it gets +6.
Right.
So it's 10. I don't think you really want to block all 10 at once, but that's what you got to be thinking about.
It may just be that you've got 3 cards. You could block up to 9 and keep 1, and maybe it gets a ward. You're fine with that.
Interesting. It looks like based on the body language that Tyler just passed to go to reactions, no blocks.
Whoa.
He's losing all of his wards. Yeah, so this is an interesting play out of Tyler. He's just taking. Well, he didn't take any damage because there was no pumps, right? It just happened, and he lost his forwards.
IPing himself 2.
That's normally like not a great. That's not a great idea. But hey, you cleared the board, right? That was the goal of this turn.
Yeah,
and he did it. Well, is it worthwhile? We'll see.
Yeah, I don't. Tyler must have something cooking, and it's got to be big if he's willing to sacrifice that entire board to do it.
Yeah, so that's one of the powers of this style of deck is that, as I was saying before, when you attack with the Reality Refractor, they need to take a bunch of damage to keep their hand to pressure it back. But then if you just have a hand that rebuilds very easily, creates a new aura and uses your hand efficiently, your opponent is naturally going to play inefficiently. They're going to IP themselves, or they're going to, maybe make an attack with a card that's not as efficient as it could be because they just need to attack with it.
Looking here, it looks like he had at least 1 card that didn't block. I'm still do you think that it could have been that Tyler passed expecting an attack reaction and then it didn't come?
I think that's probably the most likely scenario. But the attacker has the first priority. So if that's what Colin was chose not to do an attack reaction. Tyler still could have played any defensive cards, but looking at his 5-card hand here, he didn't have anything. He just has no instants or defense reactions. He just has all kind of offensive-oriented cards here.
I think he must have been expecting some sort of reaction.
So it looks like Tyler also just has a pretty good hand to rebuild this board. He was able to attack for 5, go again with the second tentative Chi Wind into levels of Enlightenment for 5 because he pitched a Chi because he transcended. And then, hey, he's got 2 resources left.
Yeah.
He gets to follow up with
He's
another
still
attack
putting the
for
beat
5.
down on Colin. I mean, this is a 10 into 6, 16 damage turn.
Tyler lost his whole board, but
This
he's
is
still
good.
attacking for 16. Wow, here's the Steel Blade Shunt, and it's with all the wards gone.
Yeah.
This is the exact moment that you draw it up for.
Yeah, and we see Tyler's reaction just like, oh, well, I guess I wanted to keep a board.
Yeah, well, he was going to get to attack for 16 and keep a weapon out.
Yeah.
But now, because of the Steel Blade Shunt, it's going to deal 1 to Tyler, which destroys the ward instead. Unless Tyler has another way of creating a ward or preventing this.
And look at that. A pummel is pitched here. Colin Eriksen with the spice.
Oh, that is a blue pummel. Ooh, that is a spicy card inside. Well, we did see the Nourishing Emptiness early on, so presumably that's one of his targets. You've got to imagine something like Command and Conquer or Weakest Link maybe is also in his
those are
deck.
very important cards into the Zen matchup, which I'm sure Colin is teched for heavily. So the blue pummel is probably...
Yeah. There we can see some of the attacks.
Activating
Very interesting
Kassai.
Spice, yeah. All right, activating Kassai, so this will threaten some gold generation on hit. Now, Colin hasn't hit yet.
Correct.
Tyler is still at 40. So he hasn't had too much of an opportunity to trigger these on hits, but hey, maybe this is how you got to start the comeback, right? With some gold generation.
Yep. He's going to do that. I mean, he's going to have to do that, and he's also going to have to do 40 damage if he wants to win this game.
So I will also say, you know, gold generation in Kassai, you could just pop the gold for some efficiency, right? Because it lets you swing your weapons for free, but it also lets you raise an army. And raise an army is very ineffective against most Enigmas because they have so many wards to clear out the allies, but against Reality Refractor, raise an army is pretty good.
Yeah, you can only attack once per turn. Speaking of Reality Refractor, can you tell me again what this weapon does and why it's so powerful?
Yeah, Reality Refractor only lets you attack kind of once per turn because the aura will not have go again, but it costs 2 resources to attack for 5.
So it gives the attacking aura a base of 5, and then any counters on top of that, it adds to the power. So if you have a Spectral Shield with 1, 2, or 3 counters, we saw one with 6 earlier.
Oh yeah, he was...
Then it's a base 5 plus 6, and he was swinging for 11. No go again, but 2 resource 11. And if it's a Spectral Shield, it's actually only 1 resource 11 because of the way that Enigma's hero power works. So sometimes you get to even just use a Tunic counter and swing one of these 1 card 11. I'm sorry, 0 card 11.
Yeah.
It's absolutely backbreaking.
Tunic counter for a big attack is a huge way of being efficient with this style deck. And here we see Tyler, you know, he just uses the Tunic counter plus a Chi to use Enigma's power. That's basically a 1 card plus Tunic attacks for 6.
Yep.
That's still really good.
And here we see it pulling 2 cards from Colin, breaking down his offense while he needs it to get rid of this ward. And he's in another tough spot.
Yeah, when you're this far down on life, you need to be able to take damage to hold cards to threaten the auras on the backswing. But when you don't have life total to play with, that's going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really sort of feels like this came off the back of such a strong start from Tyler, having all that ward with all those counters early on, and he's just been able to snowball that lead.
Yeah, we didn't see too many of the combat tricks or the sneaky pumps out of Colin. He had to block a lot more often early game, and that's why he's kind of behind on the life totals at the moment.
Hot Streak getting blocked by a non-attack. No natural go again. But
ooh, he plays route. Okay, so here's one of those kinds of combat tricks. So route puts the card back in his hand, and now it buffs it up by 3. So this is coming in for 5, and we're past the point of blocking, so Tyler can't just block with another card.
Are we about to see Colin do some damage?
I I'm not going to get my hopes out of it just yet.
Let's not get crazy here.
Right, Tyler still has a lot of kind of defensive options here, and so he's going to play 2 chi to transcend, and one of them is drop in the ocean, which will make that 5 down to a 4.
Does that only target attack action cards? Nope, it attacks
any
weapons.
attack, yes.
Yeah, okay. So dropping it to 4, just like you said, and gaining a life.
Gaining a life, so...
Even if Colin does 1 damage here, it's sort of like he didn't.
No one would know if he did 1 damage. The scoreboard would still show a 40. Tyler is pitching the chi, presumably for Enigma's power. Yep. And it activates the boots.
Makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, I don't think Colin's going to hit at this point if the boots have ward 3.
And it looks like Tyler will keep a board once again.
Yeah.
Okay. I will move to end.
Do get the armor off the board. Tyler is looking rather light on armor, and Colin still has all of his, but I don't know that that's going to be enough to overcome this discrepancy, but we'll see what Colin's got coming.
Okay.
Floating. Swing for 6.
Just a casual 1 cost 6.
Yeah. You know, it's Tyler has I think he still has a card left in hand and a card in arsenal, and he's probably not going to, oh no, it's the chi, right? So he's going to be able to just pitch the chi just to make some more defense
I'll take 2.
going forward.
I will Enigma on this turn.
Okay.
Tyler rebuilding that board that we saw him lose a few turns back, but
Yes.
Action go again.
Cool.
because of Reality Refractor, he can still only make that 1 attack per turn. So this, even though he's got a pretty good lead, it still might, he still needs to kind of grind it down or at least rebuild another big attack like he had with those Astral Etchings before.
Yeah, and no gold and no copper to work with means that Kassai's ceiling is not very big at the moment. Just playing swing, swing.
No blocks here.
Yeah, Kassai is all about that copper and gold generation, and if you can't hit, you can't make copper and gold.
Sure. Blade flurry.
Hey, here's some of the combat tricks we were talking about.
Yeah, Colin would have liked to see this turn 1.
Yes, he definitely needed this before he dropped this low, but hey, you take it when you can get it, and it looks like it's going to clear out the wards and deals a point of damage. Tyler back down to 40.
Back to 40.
And then I will activate Tunic, and I will activate Kassai.
Ooh, okay,
Coming with the Centauri Saber. This is going to be for 7, and on hit will create the gold.
coming in for 7.
Tyler's still looking at a 4-card hand.
Looks like an E-Strike, an Astral Etchings. Is that a blue Astral Etchings?
No blocks here.
And he goes and takes it.
Okay, hey, this,
Go to
you know,
33.
Tyler probably has a good reason for this, but
Yeah.
if you're Colin, this is the route back into the game. You got to get that gold. You got to get something in when you can.
Yeah, I think Tyler just really wants to use that life as a resource, keep the lead, and come back with a 5-card hand, build a really gross board, and throw some other attacks to strip cards from Colin. Colin only at 14 life, so no matter what Tyler does, as long as it's like a nice wide offensive turn, it's going to leave Colin with very little to work with on the back end.
Go again.
And Lightning Strike showing its versatility here. Often this deck can't use multiple action points very well, but Enlightened Strike is a good way to attack with Go Again when you have that bigger hand and keep up the pressure.
It looks like a lot of the cards that aren't wards are Go Again cards in this deck. The E-Strike and the Levels of Enlightenment.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like the way Tyler has built this deck. He's playing cards that are not necessarily standard in regular Enigma because he's really playing around this Reality Refractor and the different kind of cost requirements that it forces on you with the 2-cost swing or you know, playing a 1-cost aura like we see here with the Waning Vengeance, just being very efficient in this style of deck.
Yep. And we see Colin going for the 2-card block, staring down the face of a Ward 3 this time from Tyler.
Yeah, but Tyler's about to hit Tunic. His Tunic coming out. Oh,
this
you
isn't
can
a Spectral.
You can attack with a Spectral Shield with a Tunic. You can't attack with the Waning Vengeance.
Right.
But if the Waning Vengeance is destroyed and Tyler pitches a blue somehow, he's going to get a Spectral Shield.
I'll declare no blocks here.
Coming in with a hot streak, no blocks, so this would destroy the ward.
I'll declare no reactions.
Tyler thinking about a way to maybe pitch that blue like you mentioned. He really would like to have
Moved end.
a Spectral Shield.
Yeah, it seems like
Not able to pull it off with this hand.
this hand just didn't work out. Hey, that's still, you take that with your Colin here, right? You just got to spend one card and take out his ward. Hey, that's best you can realistically hope for.
Another E strike.
I'll declare no
Those really wide turns pressuring the life.
Tyler keeping up the pressure here.
Colin sinking a card,
It's for me.
grabbing a Blade
Taking
Runner.
one.
Close the chain.
Ooh, Spectral Manifestations. Now this is really the card that, like, it's good in regular Cosmo Enigma, but it really shines here. It's just so efficient, pitching a blue, playing a Spectral Manifestations, and attacking for 8. And if they block it at all, it's going to be pretty hard for them to destroy it on the back end, and then you get to attack for 8 again.
Yeah, Colin's already given up a card. Probably looking at giving up at least 2 more.
Yeah. And he can't really afford to not block this. He's already so low.
It is in here. Switch these out.
Very nice. 8.
Looks like he's giving
Ooh,
everything to block
giving the
it.
hand.
Oof.
Yep. Pass turn.
Which, you know, it doesn't progress his game plan, but maybe the best Tyler can do here is send 8.
Pass.
Yeah.
So it's a play.
It's,
And it's also possible, we saw it earlier, if Tyler can't get any more ward down and Colin's able to get one of those defense reactions that deals the damage, popping that ward could be pretty easy.
yeah, hey, if Colin draws into another Steel Blade Shunt, that's a pretty effective tool at this current state
Yeah.
if Tyler doesn't have another way to generate a ward beforehand.
Certainly, and I think I saw one.
First 10 and
Oh,
Ooh, but the go again, going wide here.
so this gives his next blue card go again. Blue action card, rather.
we're going to swing this for 8.
So this would not have go again.
Is he trying to transcend?
It looks like he's got an Orion of the Mystic Tenets and an Astral Etchings in hand. I don't know what Tyler's arsenal is. I maybe missed it.
Okay, okay.
If it's a Transcend card, but he still wouldn't get the action point back.
It's possible he's just trying to filter his hand a little bit here.
Yeah, that is possible, right?
Blocks.
I
So
will
he plays the blue Astral Etchings, it seems, so it's only going to give +1 counter. There's the Steel Blade Shunt.
This is huge right now.
This is going to help Colin quite a bit, because if Tyler can't do anything about this, it's going to destroy the ward.
He's pulling that, and there.
Oh, he has Restless Coalescence.
Yeah.
This card is so important in this matchup. You're able to take the counters off of your Spectral Shield and then turn them into more Spectral Shields, which protects you from things like Steel Blade Shunt.
So this is really interesting, though, because it will mean that this Steel Blade Shunt actually did cover up the whole damage.
It does, because you lost the +1 attack counters. This is still in the reaction step. So the damage has not yet been dealt, and so that 8 attack actually does drop down to a 5.
So a clean cover up. I don't hate it. I do hate that there's even more ward that you have to get there. I don't love that for Colin, but
Yeah, it's, you know, Colin had one of the best cards in the matchup, the Steel Blade Shunt, but Tyler had the counter ready to go.
yeah, it looks like he's stabilized, but stabilizing at 10 to 33 is still a very difficult place to play from.
Yeah, and he did get +1 counter from the Astral Etching, so it did go back up to 6, but the Shunt still covers it at 6. Oh, so it gives the Astral Etchings go again, which he plays as an instant because he has a Spectral Shield, and then he gains an action point. What a clever combo there from Tyler.
Wow,
get him
that
a
was
second attack.
clever. That's amazing, and now he's coming in for 7. That's so much damage.
Yeah, that is a big turn, right? Big turn out of Tyler here, and just having the right cover up into the Steel Blade Shunt
No.
was really impressive.
Okay. Yep.
And Colin may
yeah,
just be forced to give up the hand again.
Etchings, and I was like,
Yeah,
something's
yeah.
not right on my map.
Yeah, and he did need to use the Tunic because Astral Etchings cost 1, the Spectral Shield cost 1, and then the second attack costs 2. So he did need the full 4 resources.
Yeah, so playing an instant that gains Go Again means that you get an extra action point when it resolves.
Yes, and the instant had Go Again from the first tenet of Chi Wind that was played at the start of the turn.
All Arsenal Bestia.
Next blue action card you play this turn gets Go Again.
Even if it's played as an instant.
Yep.
Tunic.
So he thought of that line way early on in the turn.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
smart.
Resource.
It looks like Tyler was probably planning to play that Restless from the get-go, and it just so happened to line up right into the card it perfectly countered out of Colin.
Yeah, that was tricky.
So I'm not going to lie, Colin is in a rough spot here.
Absolutely.
What are we thinking of if we are in Colin's shoes? We got to try to attack and clear this board, but it is going to be tough.
Going with the hot streak.
Yep. He needs Tyler to slip.
Reactions.
Tyler does have a decent number of cards that have no block value in his deck. All of the instants don't inherently have block value, which might be helpful depending on how the draws line up, but it looks like Tyler's hand is pretty good at blocking right now.
No way. Go to damage still, if that's okay. Sorry, I don't know if you have break.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll lose these two.
Tyler loses the 2 Spectral Shields, keeping the Restless Coalescence around. Makes sense. That's probably the better option here.
Yeah, especially with the ability to load it with more counters. That card seems so powerful into a deck with reactions.
Indeed. He's pitching 6 for an Orion of the Mystic Tenets. Now, this is only going to draw 2 cards. He did not pitch a Chi, but still pretty efficient. Gets to cycle through his hand a bit. Maybe find a bit more action.
And we see another Spectral Shield coming out here.
Yeah, and it doesn't get the +1 counters because he did have another aura out, but so it's rather inefficient to do this just to make a Spectral Shield, but you got to do what you got to do.
And it looks like he's fine pitching 3 blues and getting all modes activated on the Level's Enlightenment.
Indeed.
Drawing a card, Go Again, and +5, or +2.
+2 to make it
5.
attack for 5. Yeah, Tyler just going to keep up the gas with these Go Again attacks, right? The big limitation of Reality Refractor is its lack of Go Again. And so Tyler's built his deck around that fact, playing a lot of Go Again attacks to mitigate that downside. So when he does have a big hand like this, he's able to capitalize on it and keep his foot on the gas.
Colin deciding to give up his arm piece. We're getting to that point in the game, and
He just needs to. This could be close to lethal here, right?
Bumping
This is
it up
going up
to
to 9
9.
with another red Astral Etchings, which is an instant because of the Spectral Shield. And so that takes Colin all the way down to 1. And he has just the Tunic left for armor. Yeah. Colin is...
he's going to need a miracle.
he's going to need something. Staring down a Restless Coalescence. That's going to make a bunch more Spectral Shields. And can tell from the body language, Tyler feels like he's doing pretty good right now.
Look at that Heart of Findal value.
Wow, Colin just doubled his life total.
Yeah, really strong. I can see why that's going for 350 right now.
Heart of Findal is a great card when the matchup goes very long and it's very grindy and you kind of maybe go through your deck once or twice. But Tyler's just been keeping his foot on the gas the whole time, and we've not gotten that far into both players' cycles.
Showing us that all you got, but this time
Okay.
Colin does have the Blade Flurry to pump it over that 2 base, meaning Tyler won't get to draw a card, and he's getting over by 1.
Which does
So-
take through the Spectral Shield, but I don't think Hot Streak had Go Again.
Oh, no.
So he's not going to get the benefit of the second half of that Blade Flurry.
And now he's staring down the barrel of a 9 damage attack.
Yeah, that's the power of this deck. If you don't clear it all out, it gets real scary real fast.
And I don't see if Tyler has Go Again in his hand, but if he does, He's in for a world of hurt.
It does not look like it. Looks like he is over-pitching by pitching a red Spectral Manifestations. Maybe he just doesn't want to have a 2-block in his hand. He wants to get those out. Maybe draw into some 3 blocks just to make sure he can protect this. And he's just going to grind Colin down by attacking for 9 every turn until Colin proves that he can beat through the defenses and clear out this ward.
Yeah, he'll have to go 2 over. Well, he'll have to go 1 over at least to clear the ward.
Yeah.
But that has ward 2, so Tyler's quite protected.
And if it ever goes just 1 over, you can just remove a counter from the
Right,
Restless
that's a
Coalescence.
good point. So he would need to go 2 over.
Yeah. Coming in for 5 here off the Tunic resource and an Outland Skirmish. You got to think Tyler's able to cover this up pretty easily, right?
Yeah, this is an easy 2-card block.
He's thinking about how to do it exactly. Looks like is that a red Moon Chakra? So that looks like it's a functionally blocking 6.
Mm-hmm.
Colin has no reaction, so it's gonna block out, and Tyler's just gonna rinse and repeat. Swing for 9. I can do this all day.
Just expending no cards from his deck to do this either.
Yeah. So maybe Colin is able to block out this 9 every turn, but he's gonna run out of deck rather quick if you keep doing that. If you keep putting 3 cards in front of this, you're gonna run out of your deck pretty soon.
We can see Colin's just over halfway through his deck, maybe about 2/3 of the way through, somewhere around there. 15 minutes on the clock means they will have to do this quite a few more times.
So he's playing a blue Steel Blade Shunt, it looks like, which is going to cover it up and forces Tyler to make an extra ward, so it clears out a counter, but maybe not exactly what Colin is looking for without that card in this matchup.
Not that critical 2 damage that he needs to do to get through that play.
Right. And Tyler had a Waning Vengeance anyway, just as backup. Yeah. Tyler definitely still in the driver's seat, as he kind of has been most of this match.
Colin's just waiting for something to go his way, biding his time at 2 life, protecting as best he can.
Once again, we've seen Tyler just playing a Spectral Manifestations to create a Spectral Shield, not with any +1 counters, just a Spectral Shield. But last time he did this, it enabled his Astral Etchings to be an instance. Maybe he has another Astral Etchings here.
Yep, coming in for 8, and now he's sitting on a ward 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if he takes a counter off. Tyler Horspool effectively back up to 40.
Yes, indeed. That is the great part of Enigma, is that you just get to keep stacking up your life total with all this ward, or your functional life total, as it were.
He gets the 2nd Restless Coalescence out.
This one won't have any counters, it doesn't look like. I think maybe there's an argument for moving like 1 counter over just in case you want to keep it, but Tyler opting not to do that.
Yeah, he's staring down an absolute brick wall now. And I don't think there's a combination of 5 cards, much less 2, that Colin could pull to get through this board.
It would be tough. He is playing a Remembrance, which is typically very good in these long, grindy kind of matchups, but not when you are losing 3 cards out of your deck per turn to Tyler's 0.
Yeah, just 3 cards every single turn, and Tyler's deck doesn't change at all. So is this the new Fatigue deck? Is this beating out the Guardians and the Warriors?
It certainly feels like it plays a lot like a Guardian, right? You do the 1 big attack per turn, and if you can protect these wards, it is so strong. As a Fatigue player myself, I love this style of deck. I am here for it.
We did see Tyler on camera earlier today face against a Zen, and it was not pretty for Tyler.
Yeah.
That was his 1 loss.
This is the downside of this strategy, right?
Yeah. But it sure makes the rest of the game feel, I don't know if easy is the right word, but when you're in the driver's seat as hard as Tyler is, it's just kind of nice to be able to feel so confident that you're going to be able to win the matchups and get the placements that you're here to get with the kind of prizing that we have, the PTIs, the gold foils. You know, these players are here to win, and they're doing a fantastic job.
About to say, this is not quite it. This would have been a lethal attack if Colin did not have the defense reaction out of Arsenal. It only buys a turn, really. Yeah. This Astral Etching is pumping up the Restless Coalescence to 6 counters. That's going to once again be attacking for 11 every turn.
He's just drawing the top of his deck and putting it straight into the graveyard every turn.
Every turn, and that will very quickly bring about a conclusion to this game, I'm sure.
I beat another Enigma in Swiss. That was fine.
Colin just checking his graveyard just to make sure there's nothing here, but it's a pretty imposing board to be staring down a Restless Coalescence with 6 counters.
Yeah, back up to that 11 damage a swing.
First tenant of Chi.
Oh, here's the first tenant. Is this going to be another one of those Astral Etchings combo plays?
Could be.
Oh, it looks like it. I see an Astral Etchings in hand. I assume it's a blue Etchings. Yeah, this is going to be it.
Yep.
Etchings puts it to 12, which is not lethal here. But when he pitches again to attack with the next attack.
Oh, take one. Go again.
Is there a 2-block in there?
Very nice.
It doesn't matter. All right, Tyler Horspool has taken down Colin Eriksen.
Well played by Tyler. Well-constructed deck, seeing the genius that is the Reality Refractor. Now, I've heard that he's been working on this deck for at least 2 months now.
Yeah.
Really pouring his entire brain into this, trying to figure out how to not only beat the good matchups, but be ready to face the bad ones. And, you know. All right, so we will be back shortly. We're going to take a quick break and then have a quick interview with Tyler before we cut to our top 8 after this. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you all in just a minute. Welcome back, everybody. We're joined here with Tyler Wicked Horspool, piloting that Enigma to a brutal finish. You cleaned that Kassai up like you didn't even care she was sitting on the other side of the table with you.
Yeah. Poor Colin. I was at 41 for so much. I was like, at least he got the points of damage in. But I did have a really, really good start there, so it's not like maybe it could go a little bit differently. I haven't played it a whole lot into Kassai, but
I think one of the important things to understand, first of all, is that Kassai does have reactions that can sort of clear those wards, but if you're able to start out with wards, then he starts on the back foot and has to present more than he normally can to even get through what you started with.
Yeah, he mentioned that actually after the game, was that the beginning of the game was so brutal for him because he didn't draw any of those buff reactions like Blade Flurry and
yeah, we didn't see any Blade Flurries, we didn't see any in the swings. It was just kind of like this vanilla Kassai stuff. So not only did Tyler start with a bit of a snowball, but Colin sort of didn't have that juice that he needed at the beginning. Have you played this matchup very often? How do you feel about it? Okay, you don't know?
I haven't played it a whole lot. I do feel really good about my deck into anything where we're trying to trade, and Kassai is a trading deck, and I do feel like my deck just trades better.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 0 cards for 11 damage, it's hard to lose any trades.
Yeah, and even if you don't keep them out, you get to Spectral Manifestations red for, you're like, oh, 2-card 8, that blocks for 1, so technically 2-card 9 is still pretty brutal. So there's not a lot of winning. Unless you can clear me out pretty much every turn.
And so we saw you submarine. We got you on camera early on, and unfortunately it was to a Zen, which it sounds to me is that your most difficult matchup?
It is. I actually do feel like I had chances there still. After I looked at the match again and thought about it, maybe I should have kept it going, but he probably still had it. He had an Art of War left in his deck, and I saw the Chase the Tail at the end. So.
Okay.
But yeah, that is my most brutal matchup for. I mean, it's for any Enigma. I make it close sometimes. I might be able to steal a game here and there. But yeah, I'm playing the deck for all the other matchups, not for that.
I see.
One.
Got it. So your goal is to dodge the most popular deck in the format. And you did it. I mean, how many Zens did you face today?
Just the one.
Just the one. Awesome. That's how you do it. So if you lose early, then all the Zens, they're off to the races, and you get to sneak up behind. No Zens on the way up from there.
That is how it works. On the other hand, you can ask me if 33-0 was the most I beat by someone today. And it was not even close.
Yeah, what was the most you beat someone by today?
I stayed at full health.
Full health? Yeah. Oh, I'm disappointed. I was expecting 41.
Yeah, I got to get that homage off next time.
Yeah,
bad.
Bit of a misplay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, that's really exciting. Congratulations on the top 8. And, speaking of top 8s and tournaments and prize winnings, we've got an Arcane Games and Events tournament tomorrow. And you're kind of famous for your villainous attire. You got anything planned for us?
I do have a costume tomorrow. It's pretty wild. And all I'm going to give you is that my where is it? My subtitle right here, Wicked Tomorrow. Huge hint. And let's give them a little more, yeah?
Yeah, please, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
We're gonna be putting on a lot of makeup tomorrow.
Ooh, a lot of weight.
A
makeup,
significant amount of
Wicked
makeup.
tomorrow. Chat, what are your guesses? You got anything?
Yeah.
What era movies do you have to watch?
Nope. That's it.
That's it.
That's
okay,
all you
that's
get.
all we get.
If you want to see what my costume is, you have to turn it.
Yep.
You have to
If you guess it right in the next 10 seconds, Tyler will give you his PTI when he earns it. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks for everybody out
Florian.
there,
We've got a
though.
Florian guess here.
Thanks for everybody out there. I got
Yeah.
a lot of support for the costume, so
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to do it into the next season as well.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all love the costumes showing up and being the villain. We all need a villain. What's the fun in having a game where you fight against each other, if not being the villain? And in this match, I got to tell you, you were the villain. Chat was rooting for Kassai.
Well, I was hoping I was hero today, villain tomorrow, but I guess once a villain, always a villain.
You know what? If you ever face a Zen, you will always be the hero.
Oh, that's good to know. It's good to know. I'm going to get crushed. But
Yeah.
it is.
Well, awesome. Thank you for joining. Is there anything else that you want to shout out? Anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, thanks for tuning in and watching us. These guys put in so much work, and I know everybody at home is watching for the gameplay, but I just wanted to shout out how much work gets put into these productions, and I hope you guys keep supporting.
Yeah, shout out to Justin and the rest of the team at AG, and of course all of the wonderful people who show up and play Flesh and Blood for y'all to watch at home, and so that we get a great show. So we'll take a. Actually, are we doing that right now? We're going to do a top 8, and the thing you all have been waiting for. We've got a spoiler for you. I'm not sure if we're taking a break first or if we're getting right into that. Yeah. Okay, I've got word from my production team that we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. You're going to want to be there for this one. We've got the top 8 breakdown and one of our 2 juicy weekend spoilers, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you all shortly.
Could be anything.